You're watching the Saint Denis Times-Tribune Illustrated. Thanks for joining us. Our top story for today, Bureau of Investigation founded. The Attorney General has formed an autonomous investigative agency to be headed by the veteran law enforcement officer Edgar Ross in an attempt to track high-profile and dangerous criminals. The Bureau will also be tasked with investigating financial fraud and other organized crimes. Ross served for many years as a senior agent with the Pinkerton Detective Agency under the mentorship of the late Andrew Milton, and then went on to work at the National Bureau of Criminal Identification, founded by the National Chiefs of Police Union in 1896, which was tasked to record information on criminals and gangs and work with law enforcement. He has been billed as one of the most humble, innovative, and honest law enforcement officers of his class, and colleagues say that Ross produces results where others fail. Upon swearing in, he stated, "I want all criminals to know that here in America, everyone will eventually pay for what they have done." Our next story involves unrest in the tropics. Island residents from Barbados to Cuba are experiencing soaring prices and short supply of food and fuel. They are blaming local politicians and sugar barons for the situation. Shortly after the political unrest in the area, including the assassination of prominent sugar industry advocate and Guarman Governor Alberto Fusar in 1899, American banking institutions, including J.D. McKnight and Co., took control of the sugar industry on several islands, including Barbados, the Virgin Islands, and Guam. Fields which once flourished with locally grown foods and were used to feed the island nation suddenly switched to growing sugarcane. As a result of a single crop economy, all foodstuffs are imported to great expense for local peoples. Foreign investors hire locals to guard and police the massive plantations, subjecting workers to harsh conditions and penalties. Local groups argue that island residents are suffering the most, while businesses say heavy investments by American financial institutions have allowed for the revitalization of the local economies. Our next story, outlaw gangs running rampant, led by notorious criminal Micah Bell. A cacophony of outrage has been building at the lawlessness that prevails in towns across the area. Numerous outlaw gangs seem to operate unchecked or unstoppable by law enforcement, rendering terrified citizens helpless. The reward for killing or capture of infamous outlaw Micah Bell and his gang was recently increased by government officials in response to the unanimous outcry from citizens that something must be done about this murderous gang of thieves and killers. Mr. Bell and his associates continue their spree of killing and robbing while running roughshod over law enforcement. His acts of lawlessness rival that of Van der Linde himself. They pay no debts and dynamite banks and buildings as a recreational pastime. Bell has long been a suspect in the Blackwater bank robbery and Strawberry Massacre back in 1899, and numerous train robberies that have ended in dismemberment or death of passengers in the years since then. Little is known of Mr. Bell's origins. Our final story, Reverend Swanson leads New York Church. Reverend Orville Swanson was inducted into his official capacity as minister at the First Congressional Church in New York this week, having moved to the city to accept the position. A service was held, and then a reception was given to celebrate the appointment. Encouraging reports from attendees indicate that Reverend Swanson delivered an impassioned and heartfelt sermon about acknowledging sin and seeking redemption. He spoke about his own break from faith, a dark period when he could not attend church, falling into sin, depravity, and wanted gluttony. He chronicled the period where he rediscovered his faith and began witnessing on street corners, to then become assistant pastor at a church in Ohio, and now New York. During his recent attendance at the convention meeting of First Congressional Churches, he delivered a very moving oration, impressing attendees as an eloquent and persuasive speaker, and was almost immediately offered the position. And that wraps up our top stories for today.
Tribune right here with me, folks.
As always, don't forget to subscribe to the St. Denis Times-Tribune, where you can stay informed of the latest news in Red Dead 2. And on that note, I am signing out. Thank you for watching.